that Iranian state TV is reporting that Iran's Assembly of Experts have appointed now Ayatollah Khamenei's son, Mojtaba Khamenei, as their new leader. These are pictures right now, in Iran. President Trump suggested that this specific person wouldn't be acceptable. And I think even Israel has reported today that they're going to go after whoever the next person is. So what does this mean for the operation? I don't know that killing the Ayatollah was top of the list for the United States objectives as the ones they've pointed out as recently as today. But does this mean he's going to be target number one as we continue operations?
Well, I don't want to get in front of the president and our great national security apparatus and making the right determinations there. The president, I think, is correct in saying, look, we're going to have to sort of sign off on whether you're putting somebody in place and in power who is going to have the interest of stability, the interest of the people of Iran, the interest of the region, or whether you're just putting somebody else in place, carrying out their theocratic intentions to eradicate Israel and to go after, quote, the great Satan. So we need to make sure they've got people in charge of their country who are no longer trying to destabilize the world, fund Hamas, fund Hezbollah. So I back the president on that, but I think he is correct to be trying to do that through force, through diplomacy, take out their conventional weapons, take out their nuclear capability. I agree. Take out, I think you said Senator Kennedy was talking about taking out some of their Navy. Agree with that. And I'm glad we've taken out a lot of their bad guys. But they can't install another crazy person, or we're going to be dealing with Iran for decades to come. So keep applying the pressure. But I do not want to be building soccer fields in Tehran like we were in Baghdad, 15 years ago. And I'm sure you agree with that. I don't want to be in that exercise again.
No.
I think we've learned from that exercise, no question, Congressman. It's Joe Concha. How do you define, Congressman, unconditional surrender, and can that be achieved without ground troops?
Well, I think that is a difficult question, right? I mean, again, the president went in and made the determination it was in our national security interest. The president defined the result here is when they cry uncle, right? I mean, that was very, Trump speak for, hey, you're gonna basically do what we're telling you to do. So we'll know that when we see it. But I think it's when we know for sure that we've dismantled their nuclear capability, we've weakened their ability for striking Israel, advancing their ability to get to strike us. I think when we have some degree of a regime there that is able to be put in place that is not the continuation of what we've been dealing with since 1979. Now, again, can you do that without boots on the ground? That is my strong preference. I'm like you. I'm not looking for us to have boots on the ground. Now, do you need to have some strategic people on the ground for some period of time to try to make sure we've got a regime in place that is going to be in our interest? I'm all ears and listening to the president, but I know this. If they come to us with a supplemental funding bill, which seems potentially likely, I'm going to be asking those questions. How long is this going to take? Are boots going to be on the ground? I do not want to be into the nation-building exercise again, but I'm with you to make sure that we're taking out their capabilities and make sure that whoever is installed is not going to continue their radical agenda.
Congressman Chip Roy, you share a lot of our concerns, and we really appreciate you being here tonight to discuss all of those things, including what's going on right here in New York City. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. God bless you guys.
God bless you, Congressman. All right, Joey, I guess we'll go to Iran and then we'll go back to New York City. So with this announcement that we've got this new supreme leader, and we were seeing the footage as we're seeing now in Iran, that gives me a little bit of a cause for pause, because this doesn't look good. This doesn't look like a regime change that was effective. But, of course, it's early. We don't know what's going to happen. But what's your take on this and the scenes that we're seeing?
To quote Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, we're not trying to do a regime change, but the regime sure changed. And I think that's the important distinction. I know he's almost made fun of that for saying that, but that's exactly what's happening here. The goals as outlined by the administration, as reiterated by Senator Kennedy today, are clear. Destroy their Navy. And I need to look up, make sure I have the four. But it's four strategic goals: destroy their Navy, destroy their nuclear program, their drone program, and their missile capabilities, so that whatever happens inside the country of Iran can't be an attack for countries outside of Iran. That's the goal. And we can do that goal, for the most part, from the air. I think when we talk about surgical, very well-trained surgical insertions in the borders of Iran, it's probably in specific areas for a short amount of time to go in and grab something we need, someone we need, get eyes on something. And I don't know that that's even really going to be necessary. It's also important that Americans keep pressure on this administration to be upfront and forthright with us. There's operational security, and there's also the politics. Both are incredibly important. There are 7 families right now who will never see their hero again, who did not know 2 weeks ago that they would be in this type of danger because of an offensive operation that we committed to. So it's up to the administration to tell those 7 family members and the tens of thousands of others why this is a righteous and worthwhile endeavor, why their lives made the world safer. Now, I believe I understand that, but if there's any questions or consternation, those are completely fair. When we talk about boots or troops on the ground, as a guy who, my boots are the ground over there now. I don't mind being called a boot, but some people get their feelings hurt, I guess. If we talk about boots on the ground, what we're really talking about, which we addressed in the A block of this show, is this creeped mission. Oh, we've done this. Now let's go ahead and do a surge so we can make sure the regime changes. That's the reason why I don't like to harp on the regime change, and I don't like to justify what we're doing based on how the Iranian regime has treated its people, because that's a them problem. I hate to say that, and it's not that I don't have empathy, but when it comes to our men and women dying, that's a them problem. They're going to have to figure out. If there's an Iranian regime that's just as brutal to their people, but is completely neutered in their ability to affect the rest of the world, then I'm going to pray that maybe the CIA sends some guns here and there and gives them a chance one day.
I guess my question, too, and I'd ask this to you, Joe, is does this new appointment of a new leader, does it matter? Is this a figurehead with soon, no force behind him? Or is this somebody who, once again, is going to try to rebuild what he can and rebuild the infrastructure to make nuclear weapons? Are we headed down the path 2.0? Or is this just simply symbolic for the regime?
Mojtaba Khamenei, who we see here on our screen, is largely symbolic, because you talk about force. Yeah. What force? Ballistic missiles, nuclear missiles, a Navy, an Air Force. Right now, Iran has been neutered, but we don't have the regime that we'd like in there to work with like we do in Venezuela. Venezuela is the roadmap at this point. I think that quad box, if we could put that up real quick, guys, from Iranian State TV, I think that is a show of defiance to the United States and all of our Arab coalition working alongside of us to say, everything's good here. You may have taken out our weapons, but the people are still behind Mojtaba Khamenei or whoever we appoint. Now, this could be obviously something where, we've had 35, 40,000 protesters killed. So you go out there and try to show that you're supporting this government. Maybe you're not really behind it. But in the end, if we're counting on the population to rise up and actually then take over and then put in a new government, that's something that's not going to take 9 days. That's something that's going to take a very long time. And again, the Iranian goal is to wait us out and let political pressure here at home push back on the Trump administration. That includes the media, Democrats, and those on the right. There are not a lot of them, but enough people online that'll scream enough to put the pressure on President Trump, especially ahead of the midterms, to make sure that we don't accomplish the goal that we originally had.
I don't know if it's such a bad thing that, as Joey was saying, to put some pressure on. I think that people are legitimately within their rights to ask questions. Sure. I think that has to be a part of this. And I think that if Republicans want to remain with any control, they need to explain this. And they need to be good messengers of it, because you're going to get people getting cold feet pretty quickly. Alicia, I want to turn to go ahead, please.
Well, I just wanted to add one thing. When you talk about people rising up in the streets, and we saw the shutdown that happened with the 30 to 40,000 people who were killed under this regime, as cruel as the Ayatollah was, there are reports that his son is far more cruel. So we have to watch closely what's going to happen in the streets of Tehran, what is going to happen throughout the country as the days move forward, and what our administration is also going to have to contend with.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to explain something real quick. Not explain, because a lot of people do understand this, but I want to bring this into the conversation. Their ability to strike Israel 1,000 miles away, that's one thing. They've got a 1 million-man army. They've got 90 million people, and I guarantee you more than 1 million of them support this regime. That's just the truth of it. Doesn't mean it's right or that the people in Iran don't deserve better or anything like that. The internal politics of Iran, I'm nowhere near close enough to understand truly how many people in that country would like to see this regime changed. But I mean, even in our own country, we find ourselves in a 50-50 split over something that half the country feels like is very obvious. So the chances of 30 million, 40 million people enjoying that regime are not low. That's a lot of people who wouldn't want their government changed. All right. On top of that, the best thing going for us with a totalitarian government is their want for legitimacy. Their want to run a country and be a legitimate government, because then they have something to lose. Read Sun Tzu. You destroy everything they have, they're going to go searching for revenge because they don't have any reason not to. So when we talk about insurgency and just creating chaos and killing Americans, it's not difficult to kill Americans if you're not worried about repercussion. We travel all over the world. We've seen attacks recently in places in the Middle East that advertise themselves as the safest place outside of Europe. And so there is a risk here. There is a concern. And those are all little dangling carrots to pull us into a forever war. That's why this is dangerous, and I think this administration has acknowledged that. So we have to be smart. We have to be able to overcome the voices even inside this administration and our own Congress, maybe a Lindsey Graham type, and I'm not beating up on him, but someone who would go out there and say, oh, we got to just keep going. We should go ahead and put 40,000 troops in there and get rid of Lebanon along the way. He may be honest in his assessment that he believes that's what's strongest for us. But that's how we got where we were with Iraq and Afghanistan. We can't view Iran as never going to be a threat again because we took some of their missiles and their nuclear program away. We just have to gauge that threat on how much it matters to us and how we react to it. And we can't react to it with 200,000 troops in the Middle East sitting ducks waiting to get blown up because Trump won't be president forever. And the next one might want to play the same kind of ball Obama did, which says, I'd rather our guys die and not have an international incident than to remove some of these rules of engagement and go get it done.
Do you think, and I'm sorry to jump here real quick, that if we take out the son of the killed Ayatollah Khamenei, Mojtaba, that solves anything? Or is there just somebody else that's always going to be in line like we saw with
I don't think
Al-Qaeda?
it solves anything as far as the leadership of that country goes. I think it continues to put the signal out there. Because, I mean, there's a reason why, even if President Trump is fully committed to not sending ground troops, the reason why he won't just answer that question is Iran doesn't need to hear that.
Yeah, of course.
That gives them information they don't need. So if the belief is no matter who they put up there, they're going to get killed until it's someone who will work with us, now you're playing some psychological warfare.
I just wonder who that person is who's going to work with us, right?
Well, it remains to be seen.
Someone not dead, I guess.
Yeah, well put.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.